A lot of you guys probably clicked on this video and expected complete doom and gloom. And don't worry, we're going to get to that. But I want to really preface the doom and gloom segment with, this game is really damn good. I think a lot of people are having a good time with it. This is a test that I think a lot of the current player base that's playing Ashes was not expecting to be as fun as it was. I know myself personally, I jumped in the test kind of expecting it to be jank, just to learn some game systems and just kind of be a little bit of a tourist and not really take it too seriously, but I have found myself playing the game a lot, and I think that is a testament to just how good the core concepts of the game are. Conceptually, this game has a lot going for it. The combat in this game is fantastic, especially this early on. Keep in mind that according to their own development timelines, their own development runway in terms of how much money they have to develop the game, is going at least for another 1.5 years. So they have a ton of time to iterate on this. But what we've seen thus far is incredible. The combat, very, very good. I have not seen too many people complaining about the combat at all in really any capacity. And that's something that is just very difficult to nail down. They've really done a good job nailing the things that are difficult to nail, like the movement. The movement just feels right. And if you've played a lot of MMOs, you'll know that that's something that's just very difficult to do. Like the movement in SWTOR, it's just something about it is a little bit off. The momentum, the inertia, the acceleration, the speed in which you move around the world, this doesn't feel right relative to the character models, relative to the animations. Getting all of that stuff right is so hard. And it's so good right now, and we are quite a bit away from release. Again, according to their own timelines, which is good. You know, that means they have a lot of funding to be able to project their timelines that far out. You know, they're not in a crunch to get this game out the door right away. Another thing I noticed that's really, really impressive, especially this early on, is how well the client does. In these massive 50v50 battles inside of towns where there's just tons of people interacting with vendors and banks, the frame rate of the client is fantastic, especially this early on. Again, we've got at least another year and a half for them to just refine and optimize this. And even right now, this game at a frame rate level in mass PvP is very impressive. Now, the servers are definitely freaking out and lagging out, and people are, freezing and there's delays. That's kind of to be expected. But even that, relative to the mature modern MMORPGs, is still better than the vast majority of the market. But the main thing I want to hit on here is the client frame rate is fantastic. And a lot of people, it's kind of easy to forget about that when you're just sort of running in place and nobody's moving. The first thing your brain is going to notice is the server is freaking out. But just think about, look at your frame rate. Like, that's pretty impressive. And even the server performance, in my opinion, is pretty impressive. I don't know too many MMORPGs, even the established market leaders, that don't fall apart in 50v50. Even Alteric Valley, which has been in World of Warcraft for like 20 years, still gets laggy in modern World of Warcraft. It's just a difficult thing to have that many players on screen. It's just one of those things that's always been difficult about multiplayer games, is having lots of people on screen all at once. Technology has definitely progressed, especially with battle royales, but even those games, they sort of cheat a little bit because it's not really 100v100 at the very end of the game. You start out and everybody's spread out, so naturally it's just not as crazy as it might seem off the rip. Another thing I really liked was the war declaration system. When another guild declares war on you, it is some serious shit. They can run into a town and just kill you. Flat out, the guards don't interfere. When you are at war with another guild, you are truly at war with another guild. And it just feels right. And the reason I think it feels right is because these wars last a certain period of time. I think it's like an hour, maybe an hour or 3 hours, something like that. And then they go away. So this is not a 24/7 thing. Now, there's nothing really stopping a guild at this point from declaring war and then redeclaring war on the same guild over and over and over again 24/7 theoretically. There is a resource cost to declare war, but this is their first iteration on the system, and I think for their first iteration of the system, again, conceptually feels good. When you're at war with another guild, you are sort of looking over your shoulder because at any point they could just come over the hill and murk you. At any point when you're going to a bank, if the war is currently active, they can just get you. So it makes the game feel very, very different, and I quite enjoy it. It just feels so right when your guild declares war on another guild, and you really do just rally the boys up and go into their node and slaughter them. And then they do the same to you. And yes, it can get like a little awkward when you are just getting farmed, but that's sort of part of it. Like, that's part of the game. When a guild has declared war on you, like, it might not always be fun for you. And just the community aspect of that, I just can't think of a time where you're really playing that us against them card that is just so like captivating that MMOs haven't really utilized in a really, really long time. The game overall is just really fun, and conceptually, I think they are on the right track. And you can even have a lot of fun PvP experiences in this game while you're leveling up. While you're leveling up and you're in potato gear, and presumably your opponents are in potato gear, you can have a ton of fun, organic PvP experiences. The problem is that it's just not going to hold up at endgame, especially with the gearing the way it's happening right now and the itemization. It's just not going to last. So let's talk about why PvP sucks in Ashes of Creation right now. Some of you guys are probably confused because you're watching this footage and you're saying, this doesn't look so bad. This looks like standard MMORPG combat. This actually looks pretty fun. And it is. The problem is you have to put a huge asterisk next to this PvP footage because I personally am not in good gear, as well as my opponents are not in good gear. Now, you might be saying, why does that matter? Well, the itemization in Ashes of Creation right now is horrendous. At high levels, the game just becomes a one-shot fest. And rather than me show you the items and explain the itemization and how crazy it is, I'm going to show you.
Are you? Jesus Christ, dude.
This guy literally two-shot me at 100% health. Now, he didn't use any crazy, cooldowns on me or any, crazy setup. This man did the World of Warcraft equivalent of a charge mortal strike on me and killed me 100% to 0. That is how powerful the legendary items are in this game. Keep in mind, I'm wearing heavy armor, which is good against physical damage, which is what this guy did. So if this guy was a mage, he could have done even worse to me. And the skills he used, I really want to hit on this, are not high damage skills. Blitz is a low damage skill. Overpower is a low damage skill. This man did 2 of his worst damaging abilities and did this to me. Staggering. The first few times I was killed like this, I thought that people were abusing some sort of bug or exploit or item that gave them crazy offensive stats. I figured it was something like that. But it turns out, no, they're not abusing anything. They are just using crafted gear. The crafted gear right now in Ashes of Creation is itemized so poorly that this damage is legit. They're not taking advantage of any mechanics. They just literally crafted the gear and equipped it, and this is how powerful they are. The funniest thing about this is that these guys aren't even using high-level legendary weapons. These are level 10 legendary weapons, and they are doing this to people. Some of you guys probably just think I'm complaining because I don't have this gear, and I'm just getting out-geared, and I'm getting owned because I didn't craft my gear. And that's the funny thing, is that it would not even matter if I also had legendary gear. I would still be getting 2 and 3 shot by people with legendary gear.
Look. Like, do you guys think you should let this? He auto-attacked me, guys. I have legendary gear as well. Do you guys see this? Like, how can you say this is not an issue that is not a priority?
Why is this? Because the legendary gear has very little defensive value. You get very little defensive bonus from this, but you gain like 50x the offensive bonus. So it doesn't matter if you have good gear, if they have good gear. It's really just a contest of who hits their buttons first. Now, what this leads to is melee being essentially second-class citizens. In a one-shot meta like this, you really want to be playing a class with range. Hence why rangers in this kind of meta are going to become incredibly powerful. Mages and rangers really are just going to clean up. And fighters and tanks might as well just not even exist. Tank, probably the most useless class in PvP right now at a high level when everybody's got legendaries, because what are you going to tank? You're going to take, it's going to be a 3-shot kill instead of a 2-shot kill where you're going to put protect on that guy so you get 1 shot by the transfer damage. It's crazy. It's so absurd. If it wasn't obvious, this is something that 100% has to be fixed before phase 2. Now, if you're not familiar, there is a wipe coming to Ashes of Creation on December 20th. So all this gear we're talking about right now is going to get wiped. We're all going to start at level 1 on December 20th. But it is of paramount importance that this gear is no longer obtainable after December 20th. Because if it's still in the game, people are going to rush to get it. It is that powerful, and gear that is this powerful trivializes the entire game. PvP, PvE, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters when the gear is this powerful and the players are this powerful. Now, some of you guys are going to say, oh, it's just alpha. This is what you signed up for. And yes, we did sign up for this. But the problem is that you can't actually legitimately test the systems and test the gameplay loops when the testing environment is this fucked. When everybody is one-shotting each other, how are you going to test balance? Phase 2, one of the things they're going to be looking for are balance tweaks. You can't do that when everybody is one-shotting each other. And this is not just a PvP issue. This is also a PvE issue. People are soloing the world bosses with this gear. It is outrageous. So, yes, Intrepid does know about this gear being this strong. It's been on their radar. The only issue is that changing the itemization of everything, there's a lot of inner working parts here. So it's not as easy as literally just changing a few things and having it work out evenly. But what I would recommend, if they do need more time, because here's what my worry is. My worry is that they're focusing on getting a lot of other stuff out the door for Phase 2, that they might not prioritize the itemization, and maybe it sneaks in for a few weeks and people get this gear that is insane and it just trivializes other aspects of the game. That's my worry, is that they know about it. It's going to get fixed, but it just needs to be fixed before December 20th, or at the very least, Band-Aid fixed. And what do I mean by that? I mean, just disable crafting until you can fix the itemization, because if you don't, there are guilds and tons of players right now that I know personally that will rush this. They will rush this. It will be their lifetime goal to get this gear. And they're going to get this insanely overtuned gear a lot quicker than you're going to think. And it's going to trivialize the game. And you're going to either have to wipe again, which would be bad, or you're going to have to literally take this gear away from these players, which would also be bad. So what do we do now? What do we do in the current testing environment where there are 2 testing weekends before we have the wipe on the 20th? Well, I'm of the opinion that you just do nothing, which I know is a crazy statement to make, but I just genuinely think it is not worth the time for them right now to do a Band-Aid fix. Yes, does that mean the game is going to be an absolute clown fiesta of ridiculousness for the next 2 testing weekends? Absolutely. Towards the end of this weekend, it was already just absurd. People are already soloing world bosses and doing crazy stuff. PvP is damn near unplayable if you're on a competitive server. But this goes back to, it's an alpha, bro. This is sort of what we signed up for. Yeah, at max level, the testing is going to be fucked for the next 2 weekends. But what we need to keep in mind is that the vast majority of players are not even level 25. Yes, a lot of you guys watching this video right now are, because you are self-selecting. You are watching a Sweatlord YouTuber because you are Sweatlords to some degree or another. But most people aren't level 25. I'd say most people probably aren't even close to level 25. So their feedback is still going to be valuable. And even some of the testing feedback at max level may still be valuable, maybe, but there's definitely a huge asterisk behind it. How are you going to be able to test what PvP feels like, what world boss tuning feels like when everybody's just doing insane levels of damage? With all that being said, the game is still very fun, and I do plan on playing the next 2 testing weekends. Admittedly, I probably will be playing a lot less, and I will not really be playing too much in-game PvP, if I could imagine. And even PvE, like, are you really motivated to kill the world bosses when people are like 2-manning them and 3-manning them and even soloing them? Like, who cares if you're just going to kill the dragon in 5 seconds? It's just, I don't know, it's just really silly in-game right now, and that's the main thing I want to hit on. Balance doesn't matter when everybody's launching nukes. It just doesn't matter what the tuning is, what the class balance is. You could have the best balanced classes in the world at lower itemization levels, but when the one-shots start coming out, might as well just play a ranged character with high evasiveness. Like, it's really what it's come down to. So, Ashes of Creation, very fun right now. In-game, very, very silly right now. Hopefully they can get this locked down before the 20th. Would be great. But if they can't, consider disabling crafting until you get the items retuned properly. Because otherwise, it will trivialize the entire testing phase if you let people get their hands on these items again.